welcome back for another awe-inspiring episode of Tiff Talks. We have another very special guest. She and I actually went to Rider University, class of 2014, woo woo. She is a triple negative breast cancer survivor and advocate, creator, speaker, and many more things, Lorelei Colbert.
Yes, thank you so much, Tiff. It is so great to see you.
It's so good to see you too. Wow, it's been, 9 years? That's amazing.
Here we are.
Here we are doing great things. And so you're a triple negative breast cancer survivor. Holy crap. Of all the people, and you hear stories of people that have cancer you just never expected to happen to you. And at 28?
Yes, 28.
Tell us about how that was and when you were diagnosed and where you were at in life and how that affected you.
Yeah, so everyone remembers 2020. It was quite the year. And for me, 2020, my husband and I, who was my college boyfriend at Rider, we decided we were going to get married. And even though it was 2020, we got married on Zoom.
It was so cute.
We invited our family and friends from all over the world to join us. And we wanted to because we weren't sure what the future held with my husband's career in the military. So weeks after that Zoom wedding, we were told that we were going to move to Japan on military orders.
Okay.
And it was Japan's Hawaii.
Nice.
Like a beautiful island. We were ready for this life change. But in order for us to go, I needed an exam to say that I didn't need any special care while we were over there. And it was August 26, 2020. I went to the doctor just for a physical, and it wound up turning into an OBGYN exam because I had asked about birth control and time was limited. And it was one of those days where, you just feel that weight on you. You bring all that ick from other things, and I was just kind of feeling the weight of the world. And when I walked into that appointment, this nurse welcomed me with kindness. And she was just saying, "Madam, how are you today? How can I help you? Welcome. I'm so glad you're here." And I just felt her ease this tension on me. So when I was in that appointment and the doctor said, "We'll just skip the breast exam, we'll do the PAP, and we'll get you on your way." And I'm thinking, I'm a military spouse. I'm not holding us up. That's great. But when she left the room, that nurse questioned it.
Wow.
And she looked at me and she said, "So you're not doing the breast exam?" And my gut had this overwhelming feeling that she was in my life for a reason. Wow. And I said, "Because you said it, let's do it." And that was the day my lump was found.
Wow.
That was 2020. I was 28 years old. So the same appointment I was told I didn't need a breast exam. A lump was found in my right breast. I followed up and I went and got the ultrasound where a new doctor was able to tell it was 3.6 centimeters. Wow. But she said it looked mostly benign and I can wait 6 months. And again, my gut, you feel it.
Yeah.
And I knew something wasn't right. And I said, I need that next available appointment. I know I'm 28, but I need it.
Yeah.
And a few weeks later, I got the call after my biopsy that it was triple negative breast cancer at 28.
Wow. So what does that mean, triple negative?
So if you asked me when we were back at Rider, if breast cancer was more than one pink ribbon, I would tell you, no, breast cancer is pink. It's one thing. But through this journey, I've learned that there are different types of breast cancer. And triple negative is known for being aggressive. It's rare. It's only 10 to 15% of breast cancers.
Wow.
And the triple negative means that it's negative for 3 different receptors that they test for: estrogen, progesterone, and HER2. And I know that sounds a little sciencey, but it's helpful to know that there are different breast cancers because the different survivors in your life have gone through different treatments. They've gone through different surgeries, and it's because there's different breast cancers caught at different stages and they're different levels of aggressiveness.
Right.
So after being told twice that I'm 28, I have nothing to worry about, I'm diagnosed with one of the most aggressive breast cancers, but we caught it. It was stage 2B. So it didn't yet spread to my lymph nodes.
Oh, thank God.
But 86% of the cells were actively growing and spreading.
Wow. So how did you respond, you and your husband? Like, what was like the first thing that you guys did?
Yeah, so that call stopped my world. It was like in the movies when literally like tears instantaneously come out. I was home working in my guest bedroom that was now my office because it was COVID. And I called my husband. He came right home. We called our families. We called our work friends. And then we decided to put our phones away, and we ordered an amazing, delicious dinner from a small business. And we decided, you know what, even though this morning we woke up not knowing I had breast cancer, and right now we know we are a team, we are in this, and we are going to fight with whatever we have. When I first got the call, they didn't know how far along it had progressed, and they didn't know it was triple negative yet. We were still trying to figure it out. But we knew we were in this. And that was one of the lessons I learned on this journey is you can face hard things, but you can create joyful moments along the way. And that night with my husband was so special because that's my teammate.
Yeah. Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You got me already wanting to cry. Wow. So I remember when you were diagnosed and you announced it and then you started posting about it. And I just applauded you and thought that was so amazing that you were willing to be vulnerable and to share your story as it was happening. And I know a lot of people, including myself, like I like to talk about my triumphs after I conquer them. But the fact that you were doing it during was just so amazing. And I followed your journey. And so continue. So you found out, and then of course you're a fighter. You knew you were just gonna tackle it hands on, and then where did that bring you to?
Yeah. So thank you so much for saying that. And I didn't know if I wanted to share my journey.
Oh, it was amazing.
But after my experience of just finding out that I had breast cancer, I knew I needed to use my voice, and I didn't know really what I was facing. And if that cancer was stronger than I was, I needed to follow my heart, tap into my why, and face this as I needed to.
Yeah, because sorry to cut you off, but like, even if you didn't make it, you used your voice to tell others, like, get checked. Advocate for yourself, and that would have saved lives. So that's just amazing.
Yeah, thank you. That's what, like, every day I feel so grateful that I am here.
Yeah.
And it does not escape me that had I listened to that first doctor and just said, you're right, I don't need the breast exam, or if I didn't listen to my gut and speak up, or if I waited those 6 months, how far would that cancer have spread? So...
And you trusted your gut.
I trusted my gut, and I spoke up. And that was a lesson learned in the moment. But now I have this fire in me that I can't stop spreading that message.
I love that because the journey continues.
Yep, the journey continues. And, you know, now I talk about that kindness of the nurse and how powerful kindness is.
I'm sure you're still friends with her.
So I've reached out to her, and my girl, I don't know if it's because we're military life, like, no, we're not friends. I want to be friends with her. I've emailed her. I'm like, you saved my life. This is the kindness challenge. So that's what I wanted to say, is that to honor her.
Yeah, shout out to her. What was her name?
Nurse Garcia Bochas.
Thank you, Miss Garcia.
Yeah, she, like I said, I've emailed her, but no, we're not friends. But I'm like, one day I'm going to put all of this in a book and just like deliver it to her or her family and just say, you saved my life. I've told her via email, you saved my life. But when I was thinking about how I wanted to take on chemo after I got my, what my prognosis, my journey was going to be, it was going to be chemo followed by surgery.
And not every breast cancer has that opportunity, right?
So some people might have surgery first. Some people might not need surgery. Some people might not need chemo. And that's something I don't think I really realized until I was in it.
Right.
But so I was going to go through chemo, and I decided I need to keep spreading awareness. So I was dreaming up, my life mantras have always been make an impact, seize the day. And even if this is stronger than me, how can I seize the day? And I decided I'm going to do a kindness challenge. And I just listened to a podcast on how acts of kindness can lift you up, even if you're not the one doing it.
Yeah.
Like if I just tell you that I bought someone's coffee behind me, you're probably like,
It's like, wow, that's sweet.
yeah, you feel it.
I want
And
to do something sweet.
yeah, it's science.
It's contagious.
It's that love drug, that oxytocin. So you feel it, and then maybe you're going to go do something kind. And then now you get that rush and tell someone, and it's this beautiful chain effect. So I asked my online community to do an act of kindness and tell me about it. And I wanted to be uplifted during these hard times.
Beautiful.
So the challenge was for 16 weeks. So I had chemo every other week and 1 week of, getting those cells back and ready to step back in the ring. I wanted to hear about all the good that people could do and spread awareness that this is in honor of a young woman going through breast cancer, because it happens.
Yeah.
We're not too young.
Wow. Amazing. And I remember when you did that chemo to kindness challenge, and I was so excited to tell you about my challenge, and I was just watching, cheering you on and just praying and putting out positivity. And I thought, wow, look at you. Like, I just love that you turned something so negative, triple negative, into something amazingly positive. And then every week you would do check-ins, video check-ins, right? And you were just honest about what you were going through. Yeah. And that was so beautiful. And even though you were physically going through it, you even spoke so well and still looked beautiful. And I'm just like, this girl is amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Tell that to my husband and my best friend. Goodness. I would, write out what I wanted to say on a whiteboard and just speak from the heart. And they'd be like, but you didn't say go to the website. You didn't say this. And I was like, I love that they were pushing me even in those moments. But you're right. It was very organic. All of a sudden, with a quantitative goal like 1,600, people were invested. And every week I started signing on and saying, hey, these are my symptoms this week. I remember my first week of chemo, it wasn't the chemo, but it was the medicine they gave me to combat the chemo that blurred my vision. Wow. And I was so worried I was going to go blind because it was my first experience with this, with these drugs pumping through your veins. And I would just lay there. I couldn't even see my dinner plate. Wow. But my husband, my best friend's mom would read the acts of kindness aloud to me that were coming in and just fill my heart with joy.
That's so nice. And so how many acts did you end up collecting?
So over 16 weeks, we surpassed my goal and we finished with around 1,700.
Nice.
And I know there are more out there because so many people came to me after. Yeah. And they were like, thank you. I did acts of kindness. I didn't tell you, but thank you. Yes. And I was like, okay.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So now, do you continue the chemo acts of kindness or?
So I haven't continued the challenge. I felt like the challenge was really me in that moment. But I continue to advocate for kindness. And I kind of feel like, yes, I'm a breast cancer warrior, but I'm also a kindness warrior because there is so much power in being kind. And I'm the testimony of that. And I think that was always who I was. If you talk to little Lorelei, I wanted to be friends with everyone. I would use my voice to stick up for people. And this is just an evolution of all of that life coming to be.
Yeah. And who you're destined to be. And you've been becoming this woman your whole life. And it's just amazing that, you had the opportunity, you took it, you took the floor, the world as your stage. And now you're on stages talking about it. And that's amazing. And so I want to ask you, let's talk about your upbringing. How did you become such a bold woman? Because I remember meeting you in college, and you instantly were someone that I looked up to because you were so well-spoken and confident. And I think of myself during college, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know who I was. I was still figuring out how to make friends. But you were brave and responsible enough to want to be class president. I could barely remember my class schedule, and you were. I just love that you wanted to take that on. And who I am today, now I want to be class president.
Yes.
But how are you that person then?
Yeah. Well, thank you. And you were that person too, because I remember us talking. Yeah, but you even did it in high school.
I did. You're right.
You were that person.
I was, but I had a lot of growing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, you were so
girl.
Much that.
No. Well, please. We've all made mistakes. Yeah. I mean, whew. Yes. But college, my upbringing, I didn't have an upbringing like most had. I think my parents did the best they could, but there were drugs in my life. Drug abuse, divorce, and I just always knew I didn't want my life to go that direction.
You knew you weren't going to be a product of your environment.
Of that environment, yeah. And I just remember like having conversations, and none of it felt like me, and I think I knew that my ticket out of that environment was working hard and being the best I could be. And that doesn't mean that I didn't make mistakes and F up and like do things that still now I'm like, I really could have done that better. Mm-hmm. But I just knew that if I poured my heart into education, opportunity, that resiliency would carry me through. Mm-hmm. So I think that was me growing up. I think in college, thank you, same thing. Like I was making mistakes, but still finding my way. But I knew that I always wanted to make a difference. Yeah. And we were at Rider, and for me, it was student government. Like, how can I make this community better?
You were a class president like all 4 years or something, right?
Please. I did student government. I was a student government president once.
Yeah. Or last year.
Junior year, and then I decided I studied abroad. And so like even that, like at Rider, I was an educational opportunity student. Like I was a low income student at one point.
EOP program, shout out to EOP.
Yeah, shout out to my EOP fam, like getting us through. And I lived with my best friend growing up at one point, and it's just you face these hard situations, and I think I've always had this grit to face hard situations and choose how I wanted to move forward. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to breast cancer, it was another step of, okay, well, this is another hurdle I'm facing, but I'm going to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. So from Rider you moved to North Carolina and started working in marketing, right?
Yeah, so I moved to North Carolina in 2016. And before that, I was doing some product development and marketing for Waterford Crystal, which was amazing.
It looked like a really cool company. I remember you posting about that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. They do the crystal for the Times Square Ball. Also, shout out to Waterford. Wow. Love my Irish team. And then my team moved down. They moved on to another company, and they believed in me. And how special is it when people believe in you and what you can do? So they said, we have an opportunity, but you're going to have to move. And I was already looking for just a change. Mm-hmm. And I moved to North Carolina in 2016.
Amazing. And you love it out there?
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to be. Never did I think I would live in North Carolina, but I think my heart feels good in the South. Mm-hmm. The blue sky, we have the beaches, we have the mountains, hiking. I think it's been really good for my soul.
That's awesome. So what are you up to now? I'm rocking your hat.
Yes, this is like fresh out the sample box. Thank you. I am speaking, I am writing, I am creating. I've been working on, cards, hats.
These cool looking cards.
Yeah, so all of this product that I'm working on gives back to research or gives back to a nonprofit. Right now, all of these go back to Triple Negative. I have big dreams of how could I impact the world even more. Mm-hmm. But right now, this is all straight from the heart. And your hat says be kind, because I always say be kind and check your boobs, especially after that kindness challenge. Yeah. And my hat says survivra. And that is a word that I was introduced to early on in this journey of breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And it's French for survive. Mm-hmm. Everything feels better in French.
Yeah, it sounds better too.
But survivre, when broken down to its root words, sur means on, and vivre is to live. Wow. On to live. So where survive feels like you're barely hanging on, live onward, live forward. And that was in my heart this whole journey, and that's where I carry forward today.
I love that. So you're speaking in different places about breast cancer and getting checked, but I just got checked. I'm not gonna lie. I took a couple years off from going to the doctors because, I was an adult now, so I was no longer on my parents' insurance.
Yeah.
And insurance is so damn expensive.
You're not alone.
But I finally put my big girl pants on and got health insurance, and I went to gyno, and I got a checkout, and I thought about you, and I'm like, wow, like, one, I was nervous getting checked out, but I thought about you, and I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not prolonging this anymore. And it's funny, I got a pop, and the last time I did was like 2014 or something, and then the doctor tells me, your last results came out like abnormal, no one told you. And I was like, what does that mean, abnormal? And he's like, yeah, like literally casually, like, abnormal usually means like there could be some cancer cells or something. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like
casually.
No one called me. Like, I had never heard that before, but luckily this pap was normal. But I told a couple friends, and they were like freaking out, and I'm like, I wasn't trying to freak out, but I'm like, wow, yeah, just like that. And then it could just go, and we don't even, it's crazy. Yeah. But because of you, now, like, no, I need to get checked out. I tell my friends as well.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. And that's what I speak on. And today I'm actually speaking to a college group. And that's one of my main messages, is that these conversations can save lives. Because if young women know that this can happen, they will take their health more, they will be brave and prioritize their health. Those appointments are important to go to, and they're also important to speak up if something doesn't feel right. And as young women, we don't always feel comfortable or confident enough to question that.
Yeah.
So I really believe that these conversations matter.
They do.
I really believe they can save lives, and I'm proud of you for going there and telling your friends. Boom.
Yeah.
That's an important conversation.
Sure. Yeah. So how often should one get checked out? Like, what do you recommend?
So
6 months, a year?
So great question. For your OBGYN, I believe it's every 1 year.
Yeah.
But in the breast cancer community, we talk about doing a self breast exam once a month. So on Instagram, you might see every first of the month, I just say, feel it on the first. It's a campaign that was founded by a breast cancer survivor. And the reason is because even though young women are not likely to get breast cancer, right? It's very rare. Only 5 to 7% of breast cancer survivors are under 40. But
wow.
Are you ready for this?
What? Tell us.
80% find it themselves.
Really?
And even though we're such a small group that gets this disease, our prognosis, our life expectancy is different. It tends to be worse because we're finding it later, and it's more advanced. Or for young women like triple negative, it's known for being aggressive and it grows fast. So do those self-exams every month.
There's a certain way to do it, right? Like around the
know your normal.
Around.
So I would say raise your arm.
Okay.
You do 3 fingers and you can like press in. So I had reconstruction, so these are my new boobs, but they probably feel different on a real boob. But you'll go all the way around your breast.
Okay.
All the way in to your nipple, all the way out. And then what people don't always know is you go feel those lymph nodes in your armpit and feel up to your collarbone. Some young survivors have found their breast cancer because they had something in their armpit.
Wow.
And you just don't even know. You don't expect that.
Yeah.
So that's why I use my voice, because awareness matters.
And thank you for teaching us that. Guys, check your boobs every month. And
Be kind and check
guys,
your boobs.
Check your stuff too.
Yes, and shout out to my husband, because he was always really good at self-checks, like for the male area. And I was like, oh, wow, that's so good. And like, I don't know, it was wild to me that 3.6 centimeter lump was living in me.
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
Because you're healthy. You're young. You're active.
Yeah.
You're positive.
Yeah. And there it was, that
no
little
discrimination.
Yeah, the disrespect.
Yeah, right.
But I couldn't even feel the lump. If I was sitting like this with you, I couldn't feel it. I could only feel it if my arm was raised.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
that's
I've never
why
done that.
Yeah,
so.
when you do that breast exam, it changes how you feel. Do it on both breasts, and you could do it in the shower. It feels a little different when you have like water on you. other symptoms you can look for: bumps, if there's any like indents in your breast, if there's a change in your nipple, if there's discharge, if there's redness. Things we just don't talk about.
Yeah.
Why hasn't anyone talked to us about this?
I don't remember ever having a conversation about this.
Yeah. You think breast cancer and you think like people say, my mom, my grandma, you know, my aunt had this.
Yeah.
But not my friend who I went to college with.
Right. My age.
Yeah. My age. Yeah.
Insane.
So after chemo, I had a bilateral mastectomy. So that's where these implants came from.
Did you have to? So,
I needed to have one removed.
and so they have to remove everything?
So they
otherwise
remove-
it'd be like an indent or something, right?
So they remove all your breast tissue, and some women are able to keep their nipples because, as I said, there are different types of breast cancer. There are different levels of like how fast it's growing. But from my old boobs to the size of the lump, they said I had to remove this breast.
So
And
including the nipple, everything.
including the nipple.
Just-
I had to have it's called a non-nipple sparing mastectomy. And
How did you take that?
it was hard. It was really hard. Lots of tears, lots of baths, trying to just come to the realization of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, being newly married, like
Yeah.
you want to be sexy for your
Yeah.
husband, and all of a sudden now I'm gaining chemo weight. I'm losing my breasts. I'm losing my nipples,
Your hair.
my hair, like.
And he stuck beside you, and you still look beautiful, I swear.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
You're the most beautiful bald woman I've ever seen with those big blue eyes. I'm just like, look at her, just still smiling.
Thank you.
Yeah, still fighting.
Yeah. I love being bald. I hated when the hair started
Really?
growing back. Man, I would cry when my hair started growing back. It felt like a beard coming back.
Really?
I was like, couldn't even
Little
cuddle.
peach fuzz?
Yeah. Well, it was so soft, but like when it first grew in, it just it felt like pricklies.
Oh, man, that's funny.
But it was my choice if I wanted to do both breasts.
Yeah.
And
Just for safety reasons?
yep. And I decided with how fast that triple negative came in, what was right for me was going for both. And I know some breast cancer survivors who only did a lumpectomy, and they feel confident in their decision. Every person's journey is their own.
Yeah.
But for me, as I said, that night when my husband and I put our phones away and we had that dinner, we were ready for war. I
love that.
I had an abnormal pap. So
Really?
when the doctor called me to say you have breast cancer, she said, and your pap's abnormal.
Jesus.
So we didn't know what we were facing, but we were preparing
hungry?
for the war. Yeah, like I was like, I need to just soothe my soul right now.
Yeah.
Like, give me some. I'm a Italian pasta girl. I'm like, I need some Italian food.
Yes, I love that. I'm so glad that you had an amazing supporting partner that was there to love you through it, because I can imagine going through that alone must really suck. Must really suck.
I feel really grateful that I had him by my side, and I give a lot of shout outs to the women who don't,
Yeah.
and even my dog. And I know you
so much
had,
love.
yeah, like
the most purest love.
whew, and we were that couple that had the pandemic puppy. And that her love being by my side through the chemos, through the surgery, through survivorship, when all of a sudden I was crippled with anxiety and
Really?
I'm just facing life on the other side. There she is looking at me.
You were crippled with anxiety after surviving? Like, let's get into that. Like,
Yeah.
was it like feelings of guilt, or like
So-
for the other people that didn't survive? Like,
Yeah, so I never really had survivor's guilt, but survivorship is hard. And I don't think we realize that. Especially, you know, I all of a sudden rang that bell, became a survivor at 29 years old. And everyone's continuing with their life. And I am just coming out of this schedule of fighting for my life every day and being so in tune with my body every day.
yeah.
So then
You gotta act normal.
yeah. And
Whatever
what's
that means.
normal?
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to be that woman before. Way too much has happened.
Yeah.
I went through menopause at 28 years old. Like, there's no coming back from that. My body is different.
Right.
And survivorship doesn't stop when you ring the bell. Treatment doesn't stop when you ring the bell. So, yes, I was crippled with anxiety, and that was a lesson to not just prioritize my health with all these appointments that were scheduled for me, but prioritize my mental health And I learned that vulnerability is a strength. I think I learned that through the journey, but it was a strength, and I needed to lean on others to learn how to come out on the other side.
That's a big one. And that's the beauty of community. And you built that. And that's amazing. And other women, like, where could they go? Like, what communities or forums would you recommend?
So for young women, if you're a pre-vivor, a survivor, the Breasties is a great tool and community for you. For my triple negative girls out there, the TNBC Thrivers community, the TNBC Foundation. And I always just say, know you're not alone. Community is everything, especially if you face something like this. I know for a fact there's a sisterhood, a community waiting for you. Yes. But in how many other aspects of our life do we feel alone? And when you start to share and let others in, you know that you're not fighting that battle by yourself.
Amen. That's so true. I love that. So what can we expect from Lorelei next? I know you're taking on the world with your advocacy. Yes. And you said you're writing. Are you writing a book?
I would yes. Well, I have a couple book ideas, but I have written some articles for cancer magazines and just talking about these hard truths that I've faced. And also in just leadership, like taking leadership of your life.
Yes.
Even if it's a hard chapter. But you can expect more creativity, more words, more love, and I think more action. I'm still finding my way out, but I'm really proud of myself for where I am right now and where I'm headed.
That's beautiful. Well, I'm rooting for you. You got my support on whatever. I did want to ask, just because I'm personally curious, like, about the chemo experience. That's something that people pay out of pocket for, right? Like, that's not something insurance covers, is it?
So insurance can cover it.
All of it?
It depends.
It depends on your insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
which is why insurance is important, people.
Important. And the wild thing is, like, I also came off my parents' insurance.
Yeah.
Was consulting for a little bit, and I got the bare minimum insurance. I don't feel like people talk about that a lot.
I
like,
know. That's
people
why I
in
want
their
to get
20s,
into it.
Yeah, people in their 20s.
We're like ashamed to say
you risk it.
Yeah.
You risk it.
Like, do I want to pay this even though I'm healthy and I don't?
Yeah, exactly.
You never know.
But I always bought the low one. But if something hit the fan, I was covered, right? Maybe it's like $10,000 or $15,000 out of pocket, but they have your back.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky that my husband and I were recently married, because with military insurance, for me, my insurance covered everything. And there are so many people that it doesn't cover.
Right.
It might not cover all of their medication, or I want to say that your surgery and your reconstruction should be covered, but like IVF, so young women, that's fertility, that's a whole other chapter of this, and that's not always covered by insurance.
Yeah. Hefty bill.
And if you get it and you don't have insurance, then I can't even tell you.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people like raising funds, so I always assume that people just had to pay out of pocket. I'm like, damn, how do these people survive that?
Yep. And if you're out of work, then all of a sudden you might not be able to pay your bills.
Yeah.
So I feel very lucky.
Yeah. What are some resources that people can tap into for that? Like, if they can't work and they have poor insurance, do you have anywhere that they can go to or that you can recommend?
So there are different organizations out there supporting cancer survivors and cancer patients. So one, I would say, talk to your hospital if you find yourself in this situation. But otherwise, look out for organizations. So maybe Google breast cancer support for X. And there are so many organizations out there looking to help. Some that I work with personally, the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation, they are there to support triple negative survivors and patients. I know Genevieve's Helping Hands, they support young mothers going through this.
That's nice.
So those are some smaller foundations that help our community, but I know there are bigger foundations out there as well that might help you with transportation. They might help you with, getting those medications that you need. And it could even be from your own hospital.
Thank you for that. So what else would you like the audience to know, or like anything else that you want to shed light on while we're here?
I think I'm just really grateful to be here. And I hope that everyone listening, everyone in your corner knows that their voice can make a difference. And I think that's what's so special about you sharing stories and lifting up others' voices. And this conversation is heavily focused on breast cancer, but like you said, you had that conversation with your friends. That's how you change lives, and that's how you save lives. So have those conversations with your family. Know your family history if it's available to you. Have these hard conversations with your friends, and know that you're not alone, because we are better together. And I think we all can survivre and live onward towards the life we really want.
I love that. That was beautiful. And no matter what you're going through, you can always turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah, you can face hard situations with positive action.
Yeah, and make
Control
joyful
what
moments.
you can.
Yes. So tell our audience where they can find you.
Yes, come to LorelaiColbert.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Lorelei Colbert, and I would love to connect with you, share stories, and just share some of the good of what I'm doing. There's a lot of sweet people in my life that I've met through this process, and I would love if you join me on this journey.
Yes, and buy some of her gear and some of her cards, guys.
See, I need you in my life.
I got you, girl. I'm telling you, I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
copy
this is
one of
all
these. I want
love.
a survivre, because I love that you explained the meaning of that.
Yeah, it's not a
I love
typo.
it. I know, right?
And that's a conversation starter.
It's a conversation starter.
We're here to
I
live
love it.
on, live forward.
on. I love it. Well, listen, you've inspired me since I met you 10 years ago, and you continue to inspire me. I'm so happy that you came to Jersey. I don't want to say you came for me. You didn't come for me, did you?
I came here this morning for you.
Oh, you did? All right. I'll take that.
I came to South Jersey for you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. It's so great to see you. And again, you got my support on whatever. I'm so proud of you.
Well, right back at you. Thanks, Tiff.
You're welcome. You smell so good, too. Cut.